All right, Keith is back with your full check of the forecast. We know it's rainy out there, and now we're even talking about possible flooding in some areas.
Yeah, I've talked to you about how I use the sub pump pit in my house to use the look for our non-regular viewers, Chris. I have to reiterate the previous. So, anyways, I can already see it in there.
Oh. Yeah.
That's usually a sign that you know we're right there on the water table.
Yeah.
So there's some really interesting spiders that live down there also.
Not surprised.
Yeah, they're just riding up and down on the float switch like it's like an amusement ride.
Do you have any weather to do?
I do. Yep. There's the rain moving through right now. Moderate stuff mostly. Couple of heavier spots in there, but mostly staying into Canada, and the showers will continue through the rest of tonight. That's part of a warm front right here, stretching back to this low, which is just about Cincinnati. Cold front back behind it, severe weather in the warm sector. So there's a break in here. That's the first half of tonight, and then the heavy stuff moves in tomorrow morning for most of us. So initially we move this rain through into northern Maine around 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Isolated showers possible all evening. So if you're headed out, obviously plan for that. And there's some onshore flow, so drizzle, fog, all of the dreary stuff going on. But it's really tomorrow morning the heaviest rain starts moving in, especially over western and southern Maine, moving into the mid-coast through about the mid to late morning, and then the middle of the day into the early afternoon over down East Maine. And these yellows and oranges and reds are really heavy stuff. So it's several hours of just absolute downpour. We already have a saturated ground, and so that's why we're going to have some potential flood issues, especially in the mountains, as I'll show you here in a second. We go over to just scattered rain showers on Friday night. Still a chance for an isolated shower on Saturday, although I think overall it's a better day as there's some sun involved, especially through Saturday afternoon and warmer temperatures. So we've got a strong south flow here, initially southeast by tomorrow morning during these downpours, but gusting up to 40 miles an hour along the coastline. And this, by the way, will correspond with your heaviest rain. So it'll be in the middle of the day, early afternoon over down East Maine, where we could gust to 50 miles an hour. I see some higher numbers here. Traditionally, computer models overdo the maximum wind gusts. It's just kind of a bias that they have. But still, there is a wind advisory in effect, and we could see some scattered outages here all the way along the coastline. I find that this part of Maine is a little bit more resilient when it comes to outages, and so the winds will be stronger, but there's more people and a little bit more issues. It seems like it's sometimes over southern Maine into the mid-coast. Rainfall amounts look like they're about an inch. That's no big deal. But notice this purple area here. That's where we're going to get upslope flow. So the moisture comes in off the water and banks up against the terrain. These are the spots, and just downstream, that we could have heavy rain plus snow melt. And that's where we're likely to see some isolated flood issues. That's why we have a flood watch in effect there. Coastal flood advisory along the coast. We could get to close to 12 feet at the Portland gauge there. So between minor and moderate coastal flooding, which has just become kind of a thing that we do quite a bit, it seems. Saturday's okay, isolated shower, some sun in there. Sunday looks better, definitely better than 2 weekend days. Monday and Tuesday look good, right around 60 or so. And we ride that into Wednesday before we get rainy and cooler on Thursday. So at least get half of the week for kids being out of school. That looks pretty good.
Almost to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, yeah, I'm getting there.
Can't wait. All right, thanks, Keith.